Okay, great.
I don't know what
I,
problem you're having, but I know when I first tried to zoom in, it kept
yeah,
cutting me out unless I joined Zoom Workplace, which I
yeah,
don't want to do.
yeah, just ignore that. Everything's fine now.
Okay.
Everybody's on.
So
Okay,
what I mentioned I would do with the recording then is I will upload it to the my YouTube channel with a link only for people with that link to be able to view this recording. And that way we can send it to all of the chapters. And if they want to see the recording of today's meeting, they can just go to that link.
yeah.
I'll send you the link afterwards next week.
Okay, so we've got a really good turnout today. I'm pleased about that. Um,
Drina, can I make a request? I mean, I know most of the people here.
I was just about to say that let's do introductions.
Well, what I was going to try and do part of that, Drina, is I know we've done elsewhere. You can see it's those if you're into it, there's three dots at the top of your own face on
Hmm.
the right hand side, and you can just go in there and change your name so it then has your location also. And
Hmm.
I know we try and do that often with our Seniors for Climate group because then it's very helpful. We know where people are coming in from all the time. And that's the easiest way to do it.
Hmm.
There's another way to do it too. But if you can see those dots, that's the
Yeah,
best.
and
That's why
everybody,
I have
yeah.
Penticton after my name.
Hmm. Okay, well, most people already have it, and we can also introduce ourselves as we go along. So,
Sure.
I want to say welcome to Laurel and Amanda, um, and Juliana. We can't see you. I hope you can hear
Yeah,
us.
I don't know why usually there's my name in a dark screen up there, but
Yeah,
I don't see
your
my
name,
name either.
your
And I
name.
tried the three dots, but it doesn't get me anywhere.
Yeah, your name in a dark screen is up.
Oh, I
So
don't,
you
yeah,
just don't have you just
here, not
There
on
you are.
mine.
there you are, Juliana. Nice to okay.
Nice to
Alex,
see
good to
you.
see you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to
So
take you outside because it's the Yukon and it's beautiful and it's a shame to sit inside. Ah, well, don't wait for me.
okay. Okay. So
Oh, did you want me to introduce myself? My
yes,
name is
why don't you
Moody, and
start,
I live
Juliana?
in Whitehorse
Yeah.
up in the Yukon.
Yes.
And I've been a Council Canadian member for probably about 50 years.
Okay. And the other Yukon member is Mary. Do you want to introduce yourself to everyone? Except you have to unmute.
I have not been a member as long as Julie has, but I've been a member for a while. I'm not sure what else to say.
Okay. Carol.
I'm from Fort Moody, BC, and I am in this group because Avril, or Adrena, and I'm not sure who actually uh, got it together, allow me to come here because we have no Vancouver chapter, and I just kind of like to keep up with things. Not only that, I like to be a member. That's his other members, but yeah, so that's who I'm.
Mhm. And you attend some of the Okanagan meetings, don't you, Carol?
This is the meeting I attend. I get a notice and I attend. I know I was told when I came that there would be certain meetings it wouldn't be appropriate for me to be there. And I thought, okay, that's fine. They'll just invite me to the ones that it's hey. So I get an invitation, I'm here.
Avril, do you want to go ahead?
Sure, I can, Drina. Hi, everyone. I'm Avril Torrance. I am the chair of the South Okanagan chapter. and that covers a regional area that is south in Osoyoos and a bit west, including Karamias and Costin, and then goes all the way through the Okanagan Valley, including Penticton, where I live, and is on the unceded territory of the Syilx peoples. And we go as far north as West Kelowna. So we have a large reach of people, and we included Carol in Port Moody, and she sometimes has come to our core committee meetings. But usually the interest there is more localized, so we don't always include her.
And Lori, you're also from South Okanagan?
I am. I'm based in Penticton with Avril in the South Okanagan chapter, busy with this group, as well as Seniors for Climate and First Things First Okanagan, which is a climate group. And that's, I think, about it for me.
Sandra, you should unmute yourself. Can you unmute? Just down on the bottom left-hand side of your screen.
Is that good?
Yep, that's good.
Okay. I'm from Nelson, BC. I've been a member of the Council of Canadians for probably 10 or 15 years. I would say 15 at least. We just got through with Draw the Line, and we work a lot on transportation and other issues. And we also ally with other groups such as the West Kootenay Climate Hub. And I am the representative from our Nelson West Kootenay group to your group, Trina, and meet with you, I guess, every couple of months or so. Whenever you call a meeting, I try to make it. And I always read the minutes, and I always take them to our local meeting to let people know what's going on regionally. So that's about it for me.
Great. Amanda. Hi. You have to unmute as well.
There we go. Oh, okay. Just let me see everybody. Okay, here I am. Okay, so I'm Amanda or Mandy Vaughan. I'm Campbell River. I'm kind of our chairperson, Rich Hagenson, who you probably all of you might know, actually passed away on the 31st of August. So we're a very small group. There's about I think 7 or 8 of us now who come to meetings, and even that some of the people have ill health. So we're a very small group on teetering on the edge of disappearing. Anyway, I had the notice from Drina that there would be a meeting, and I was hoping I might hear back something about how the Draw the Line rallies went for people and what other climate issues people are taking. So I told our little group that I would sit in on the meeting. So here I am.
Yeah, please pass on to everybody in your group our condolences about Rich. He's a great guy, and it was a lot of our membership is pretty old. We're trying to renew it with younger people, but it's when you get to be our age, you hear way too many of these announcements when you haven't seen anyone for a while, or it's sad. He did a lot of great work for the council.
Yeah, he was very committed and passionate and effective.
Yeah. Mia, you need to unmute as well. Mia, you're still muted.
There she is.
It doesn't show that she's muted now. Say something, Mia.
Say something, Mia.
I think it's your headphones. Your headphones maybe aren't working. Unplug them or something.
Speak to us.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Amazing. Yeah, I thought I was anyway, we're in Nanaimo, and I'm happy to say that Laurel is here. Hi, Laurel. Thanks for coming. So, and at one point I was at elementary school, and I was about 12 years old in Holland, and the teacher said, we now all have TV because I just got a TV at 14. And he said, we're all watching the news from 7:30 till 8. And then we all rush to the bathroom and we want to make tea. And when we're all rushing to the bathroom, there won't be enough water soon because we're flushing all the water down the toilet. So at that point, I thought, wow, water is a source that runs out. So that's why I joined the Council of Canadians, because Maud Barlow came to Nanaimo and talked about water. Thank you.
And Laurel? You have to unmute as well.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. I'm not actually from Nanaimo, but I joined the Nanaimo chapter when the Duncan chapter folded. We're a small but determined group. We had a good rally, and we're moving forward by inches, thanks to Mia's leadership. So I also actually went to two September 20th rallies, Draw the Line, and I'm assuming it's on the agenda, so I'll leave it at that.
And I also know Roger Crowther, who's active in Duncan. Yeah.
Yes, he's at the table, and we
Yes.
people.
Yeah. Okay. So what we normally do in these meetings is I try to give a brief board report, and then people give chapter reports. A lot of course, what's gone on in the last period of time since our last meeting was the Draw the Line event, and we have had one evaluation of all the council chapter work. One evaluation meeting. There's another one set up with our with our organizer Nick. So we're not finished evaluating it. But people may
Maybe tell Mary to mute herself. I can hear her talking on the phone.
Oh, Mary, can you mute
I
yourself?
just muted her already.
Yeah. Okay. So, and there's a couple of other things that people asked me to put on the agenda today. In my board report, I'll try to talk a little bit about what staff we have at the national office, and people were concerned about wanting to know a little bit about that and what they do. I don't understand a lot of what they do, but I'll try to say the best I can say about that. And Mary wanted to talk about perhaps you can take this into account when you're talking about your chapter activities. Mary is interested in discussing how do you go out and recruit new volunteers, and how do you do outreach? And I think this is a really good time to talk about that, because the whole purpose of the Draw the Line activity was to build alliances between different groups. That was done on a mega level at the national and international level, but we were all encouraged to go out and build activities for the day with other groups in our region and district. And some people had more success. Thanks. More success with that than others. So I think that would be a really good discussion for us to have. So perhaps you can address that when you're talking about what's going on in your chapter, both how that worked for you with Draw the Line, or what you're trying to build with other activists in your region. What issues you're most interested in, and how you're trying to do the outreach. I'd like to start with Penticton, actually, because Lori, as she mentioned in her introduction, is active with Seniors for Climate as well as the chapter, and there's a lot of collaboration that goes on with other groups in the South Okanagan chapter. So do you want to give a start, Lori?
Sure, I can talk a little bit and then Avril can fill in the things I miss. Um, I started out with First Things First Okanagan, which is a climate action group. And then I realized that we had a lot of Council of Canadians members in this area. And so I decided to start a chapter here so we could start getting more voices. And then Seniors for Climate showed up last May. And so I said, oh, I'm a senior and we vote. And so we have been doing things sorted together with all these logos and connections. And I think it has helped to connect a lot of different people. So when we had our Draw the Line, we had sign-up sheets and we got more seniors, both Seniors for Climate and Council of Canadians new members. So we send out email newsletters once a month to people who have signed on. Sometimes people unsubscribe, but this way we're able to tell them what's going on and get buy-in. And hopefully we will get more people participating to help us organize things. That's always the problem, not just getting members for the council, but which is always a good thing, but letting them know about the strike, letting them know about water issues, and then getting them to write letters or start to organize with us. So I think it's been quite beneficial. I have the MailChimp account, which is free. Anybody can set up a MailChimp and then you can design an email that looks nice instead of just text that goes out to people. And our click rate has been quite high. So that means people get it in their inbox and then they actually look at it. And if anybody wants help with that kind of outreach, I'm happy to try to guide people through that system.
So are you saying, Lori, that if you use MailChimp, more people actually read the email or click on it than if you just send?
It's really hard to tell. If you're saying click here in an email of text and you give them a link, you don't know if they're clicking because you have no way to tell. So you're not sure if they only read the top little bit and then they don't read the bottom of the email and they don't participate. You have no idea. But certainly if you do a MailChimp, then you get a record and you can look at it and see how many people opened the email, how many people clicked on the link. And then it's just a little bit, it's also a more friendly format. If you have a photo and I can send everybody what we just sent out the other day so you can see what it looks like. But yes, I think the format makes it makes a difference for me when I'm receiving emails and I get a whole bunch of text. I don't read them. I just don't read them. They're too hard and I'm too busy and we're getting older. And so it has to be something a little bit more user friendly
Yeah.
in my humble opinion.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. I don't even have like a signature on my email. I should really do that.
It's always nice to do that. Yeah.
Or some people have a quote or a signature or a graphic of some kind. I don't even have that, and I should probably add that.
Well, it's easy to do that. If you need help, those are things I can manage. So we could have a Zoom meeting like this and we can walk through it and I can help you.
A training session for seniors. Yeah. The other question I want to ask you is, because I know that your chapter works a lot with other people in the Okanagan Valley and other groups. Seniors for Climate obviously is in the same range as us. How have you had any success in getting more younger people?
Well, we have a few, and then with Seniors for Climate BC Hub, there's one person who's assisting us who's younger.
Mhm.
We
I can jump in too, Lori.
go ahead. Yeah.
So as you know, see the thing, I guess that has always inspired, and Lori and I had this conversation just on Monday about Council of Canadians, is that it is by its very nature intersectional
Mhm.
and collaborative. So while we have strong climate action groups here in our community, and as you probably do all throughout British Columbia, many of you are connected in that way, it's those other pieces that often get missing when we know, for example, that migrant communities suffer from climate difficulties more frequently than others, as do Indigenous communities, as do persons who are unhoused, and on it goes. So when it's people, planet, democracy, we kind of lead with that sort of thing. Trina, we lead
Yeah.
with that. We always talk about that. We show up as well. Lori knows this too, but she's often too modest to say, but that's not me. So we show up at events and just just grab people. Like we don't just sit behind our table and wait for them to come to us. Like we go out and say, have you heard about the Council of Canadians? This is the sort of stuff we like to do. And I'm thinking back to the Pride Arts Festival in Osoyoos. I mean, fortunately for us, we have one of our core committee members resident in Osoyoos, and she sets it up. But we could set it up too. And we show up to their festival and we have our booth, and now it's our Pride booth, but it's still our Council of Canadians booth. And every opportunity I have to bring that bright yellow banner along, I take it. And it's like, hey, would you like to take a photo of me with this beautiful banner? And we do that. And for example, we were just at the Cup W striking workers place on Friday. We were just there. Lori and I were there. So I guess the idea is like you're just kind of doing it all the time, like wherever you go, whatever you do, whoever you talk to, we were just picking apples, yesterday for some other purpose. But Lori, was handing out, we use small, like bookmark size cards for our chapter. And she's busy handing them out to the people who are picking apples. It's like you probably want to be interested in this group. This is the kind of thing we do. So at the moment, we started with about 28 people really interested, and our MailChimp number, I don't know exactly, Lori, because Lori and I tag team on this. She takes care of the MailChimp. I take care of the email addresses. We sign them up through email addresses. So they should be identical, but sometimes they're not. But last count I saw, 108 people. And so that's in a year and a half. We have
Throughout the Okanagan.
for their South Okanagan chapter. Yeah. Now they're not all members, granted, and that's a whole other piece that we need to
Yeah.
work on, isn't it, Drina? But getting, access to who's actually a member. But, that's okay. Like the message of the council is getting out all the time.
Yeah.
And just to follow up then, I personally was not actually able to be part of our day of Draw the Line for other, personal reasons. So Lori might want to talk about that. But we are already in the planning stations now to have a kind of debrief meeting that will also be our chapter AGM, very briefly. But all of the people that we try to connect with, they're all going to be invited to that very public, and it'll be a sort of food event that involves, okay, let's sit down at small tables and strategize what worked, what didn't work, what can we do in the future, that sort of thing. So we're having that large scale allies kind of meeting. We tried very hard to obtain direct participation from unions in our area, not very successful so far as I understand. And also our Indigenous communities that we connected one-on-one, face-to-face, and but that's a long-term project. I mean, I know people talk about how do you get Indigenous people involved? That's just the wrong question to ask. It's how do you build a relationship with people in your Indigenous communities? And it takes a long time. And, you move at the speed of trust. And that's an example I'm drawn from my yoga teacher. Move at the speed of trust. And it takes a long time to build trust with people, but relationship is the most important thing as far as we understand and we live very close to and involved with Indigenous communities in the Okanagan Valley. And it takes a long, long time, but we're okay with that, and we know now possibly where we might be going over the next few months, and we're making a plan for that. But it's good, it's really one thing Lori didn't mention, and you asked about younger persons. My sense is the younger persons we did get involved in Draw the Line were connected to the Penticton for Palestine group that we have here. A peace group is like a large part of, as you know too, Drina, I know the place where younger people situate themselves, and that was a good ally for us as well.
We have similar experience in Powell River. We've reached out for solidarity with postal workers, and it's our intention to do with the provincial employees that are on strike right now. Particularly, I'm upset about my liquor store being picketed, so I'm going to go join them on the picket line. But we found the same thing, that they really, really appreciate the solidarity, but it takes a while for them to be, come back and be responsive to our issues or our activities that we invite them to. And we have the same experience with the Indigenous community. We're slowly building relationships, and it's not about trying to get people to join our group. It's about finding out what their issues are and building links for sure.
If I could say one more thing.
Finally, on the Gaza is the only activity in this town where anybody under 50 shows up.
That's okay, because
there's lots of 20-year-olds.
Gaza is a climate issue.
Yeah, it is. So, you could make the connections, and the fact is that you're going to a Gaza rally and you're talking about why war is a climate issue,
and
why militarism is a climate issue. It's an anti-oligarchy issue, like who benefits from war. It's certainly not the ordinary people.
I just want to say one more thing before we move on. What we did hear from one group that we went to a friendship society, and they were very clear that when we are doing something, that we come to them at the outset before we start to plan things, to say we're going to be doing this, and we want to let you know, and maybe you want to join us in some way. And I think that's a pretty important thing that we heard, is that doing things earlier. And so Avril did mention that we're reaching out and we're planning a water thing for World Water Day. And we're starting to think about that now, how we can build, because water is a serious problem everywhere, but it's a really bad, we're really suffering in the Okanagan. Everybody's worried. And so I think that's certainly an issue that we can get more people of many demographics, different demographics involved.
Yeah. Sandra from Nelson, I'm wondering if you have thoughts on this topic. I know that your chapter's been very involved with transit issues, and we were just on a major transit consultation this week with a whole bunch of different groups in BC who are working on transit, some urban, some rural. And I'm wondering if that issue has helped you to connect with other people in the community. You've got to unmute to answer me. You have to unmute, Sandra. Can you see, Sandra, can you see the audio button at the bottom of your screen? Bottom left.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, yep.
Well, as such, no. Anecdotally, yes. I frequently talk to people about the need for intercity buses and what a drag our transit system is, and how it should be public, and the government should be doing what Greyhound used to do badly, but not in the way that you suggest. So that is a good idea. I think we should do more of that. We know that there's an organization at the provincial level happening on transit, and I guess we went to that meeting, and it's going to be meeting again, I think, on November 8th. But that's just like planners. That's not people on the ground. So I think, I think we should think of ways to do that, to involve people more.
And transit definitely is an issue in which you can involve young people.
Yes, absolutely.
One of the asks of the urban transit people is that there should be free bus fare for people under 18 in all the cities, and that would it's a huge anti-poverty measure. It's a huge measure for the independence and mobility of youth, and for inner city transit, which is what those of us in rural communities are even more concerned about. You're trapped in your own town if you don't drive, either because you can't afford to or you don't wish to drive. It can
We've had a couple of rallies
yeah.
at the intersection of our highways, but it has been a while. And there was a good turnout for that. All kinds of people of varying ages. So
Different
you're right.
ages.
There's an intergenerational topic for sure, an issue for sure. I agree. So we'll do some more work on that.
Yeah. Who do we not? Okay. Mia, do you have any thoughts on this issue from Nanaimo? You have to unmute too. What's the matter with all of us old ladies that we can't remember how to unmute our computers? We still can't hear you, Mia. Maybe I'll move on a bit. Laurel from Duncan. I'm wondering what success you've had with working with other groups besides Council of Canadian groups.
At the Nanaimo Draw the Line rally, we were very blessed to be involved the Nanaimo Climate Hub that recently had a big weekend convention and good speakers and lots of activities. So they suggested a speaker to us who was quite good. We had the Raging Grannies sing, which was also quite good. We had a nice mix of people and a good event. And then we all had cookies and mingled afterwards. I don't know how many people actually signed up, but we certainly got the message out. It was very family friendly in a park. It was nice. The Duncan rally on September 20th was more focused on having short speeches from the 5 different groups that were represented, including the council. And the youth were all in a group. It wasn't Extinction Rebellion. It was, the name escapes me, but they had a youth group focusing on Palestine and other youth issues. And so they were all present. Now, the coalition was put together for the event, but it does bode well for different groups working together. And I think that's the future of organizing in both places. The Duncan doesn't have a chapter anymore, but Roger and I support the Nanaimo chapter and participate. Personally, I'm having trouble with the people who signed up because I don't have a welcome to the Council of Canadians brochures or website or something. So I'm just going to refer them to the national, but personally reach out to them to say, you know, you could join the Nanaimo chapter. Here's what the council is doing lately. Water is an issue, but we've got various different groups working on the rivers issues. There's river councils and the naturalists. I'm very active in that. So there's lots going on in the Cowichan Valley, and the First Nations are quite receptive, which is nice. A lot of relationships have been built, and there's a large population, so it's important. But in terms of getting young people into the council, I don't have an answer for that one.
And I'm not sure it's necessary to get them into the council.
Right. Agreed.
You know, if you have a working relationship around certain issues and activities, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to recruit them to our group, right? You find that you work together well.
Well, can I say something to this? Sorry, I
hang-
didn't mute myself. I did not mute myself. Something else happened. Yes.
Okay. Can you hang on just a sec, Mia? I just want to respond to something Laurel said before. You said you don't have a welcome to the council brochure. And I had that same problem here of not when you put a table at the farmer's market or something, you don't have something to put on. And the staff sent me something. It's like a 3-fold leaflet thing, and it's much better than the old one. If you remember that old one that was. So I can actually email it to Roger if you want to print it off. It's just a 3-fold thing. And it's
not Roger. Roger is moving. I'm the more active one, and I can.
Okay. Okay, so I'll send it to your email, Laurel.
And
because, you know, at least you have something that's basic from the council. It says who we are and what we do basically, and it has nice graphics. It doesn't, and you always have to have that no matter what else you have on your table, just a basic thing. Okay, Mia, go ahead.
Now, I just want to say that I don't understand how come I was muted. And the other thing is that a Council of Canadian member here, he started movies every first Sunday of the month, and he showed No Other Land. And I do want to say, in case anybody wants to show that under the Council of Canadians chapter things, it's definitely worth watching. It's a beautiful movie, and it would be an event to invite other people to. So that was just fantastic, and he is a Council of Canadian member. So I just wanted to say that. I also wanted to say that I phoned Eva Manley, who is connecting with all the Palestinian, and I said all the people from Palestine could come. It's just we preferred not all the slogans, but just to bring the signs, you know, that they have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all those signs. So quite a few of them came to the event and they were very happy with the event. And the other thing we did, which wasn't that, going to the farmers markets, I didn't see too many people who came from the farmers markets where I spent many hours. Was a bit disappointing. And we also had the e-blast, and not too many people talked to us about that they had come because of the e-blast. And most of them came because of that conference the week before, where we showed the whole banner and where they colored the banner. That's what brought in a lot of people there. We also hung our signs in 6 different churches. Not our banner, our posters that we had. That's how we advertised.
What's the topic of No Other Land? Is it
No Other Land? They got an Oscar at 2025 for Best Foreign Documentary. And it's about 2 friends. One's from Palestine and the other one is from Israel.
Okay.
And they are friends, and what happens, how their different lives go. And there's a lot of clips on this on YouTube, just little clips. But on the island, we've seen it in Ladysmith and here. That is the 2 places. They will not touch it with a 10-foot pole in the States. You will not be able to see it in the States. But here you get it from the Toronto TIFF, Toronto International Film Festival. And ask Glenn, because he got it. But it was a lot of effort for him to get it. But it's a good Council of Canadians thing.
Okay.
And you'll get young people there.
Okay.
Before we move on, Drina, I just want to make it, I was out of the room. Lori mentioned that we use a bookmark, and I mentioned it too, as opposed to the 3-fold pamphlet. This is what it looks like. Our side and the council side. And Lori put the PDF for this style into the chat. So it's just so easy. You can fan them out at your booth. And she did a really great job. It's really attractive. We've run through hundreds of these, hundreds and hundreds already. I keep sending in the bill for more printing to Ottawa. And yeah, it's very, very effective because that has QR codes, maybe not active right now. Maybe we'll make an update, but QR codes so that people can sign on for more info. It's really valuable. And we go in that direction rather than 3 folds. Yeah.
Okay. So Mary, have you found this conversation useful for what you were concerned about?
I've been making notes steadily.
Good.
Yes, I found it interesting. I'd like to introduce, you've met Juliana from Yukon, but you haven't met Susan, who's works at a school. Oh, there she is.
Yeah, she joined us late. That's why she didn't get.
Yes.
Hi, Susan.
She could only join after her work was over at FH Collins High.
We're having parent-teacher interviews tonight, so I will probably have to, whatever, head off at some point. But yeah, I just wanted to say hi, and we were really happy with how our Draw the Line event went. I don't know. Mary probably knows more about how to describe it than I do, but I love the idea. I think we should totally show No Other Land. I think that would be an amazing thing to do.
Susan, Darina, is this appropriate if Susan says a little bit about what we did for Draw the Line?
Sure.
Well, all we did was the teach-in that was provided by 350.org. And I was really keen to go forward with it. And so I prepared a sort of modified version that brought in some of our Yukon specific stuff, including the fact that we have an election coming up in about 4 weeks or 3 weeks. And it wasn't huge, but it was well attended. Like, it was a respectable number of people there. And then a lot of people gave really good comments on the sort of post-it note part, which we sent already to our MP. So that went really well. And a really interesting kind of coincidence was that there was another event just before ours at a different location, which was a well-known podcaster. What's her name? Sandy Hudson, who's young, and she kind of led Black Lives Matter in Toronto. And she wrote articles in Maclean's magazine and places like that. Like, she got quite a media profile at the time. And she's probably only 30. And she was doing, she and a buddy of hers, something, Nicole Loretto or something, do a podcast on politics from the point of view of more left-wing and younger people. And they just happened to be coming live to be filmed or recorded doing their podcast on the same day as we were doing Draw the Line. And so a young, very small, but young contingent, or people who were younger, all showed up, like maybe only 8 or 10 from that. But in the end, I think we had about, was it 50 people or something? And then it was really interesting to hear their point of view of stuff from the cross organization connections. And I don't think we really talked about it much, but it gave us a sense that we can ask them, but we can also go and listen to Sandy Hudson and maybe it's Nora Loretto, their podcasts that they do, because I think they're quite well known and quite creative. And then the other thing that was good was that on the Wednesday after, the 24th, I, with one of the other people at the Council of Canadians, Peggy Land, she and I came and we did a presentation at my school that I teach at, or I don't teach it, I'm an educational assistant. And we did a presentation about the same Draw the Line presentation, but with the benefit of the sort of after the fact. So we could say, well, a whole lot of people, showed up, and we had recordings of David Suzuki speaking and stuff like that. And they were really interested and they want to know more. Like, this is not stopping here. And I'm not sure those, grade 10 and 11 and 12 students are going to come out and join Council of Canadians, but boy, they care a whole lot. So we will, I don't know, I go to Social Justice Club every Wednesday for lunch. So I'll just see how it develops with them. We do activities with them. So it's not directly to do with providing more members to Council of Canadians, but it's really heartening to see how much the kids, really care about this.
The same sort of thing. They won't necessarily join Council of Canadians, but if you have good relations with them in the community, you'll be able to do things with them later. Avril has her hand up.
Thanks, Trina. I have a quick question for the Yukon people. I'm just wondering what is being done about the fact that the postal workers are on strike, and so how is the election handling mail-in ballots?
Thank you. That's a great question.
Yeah.
They have it figured out. They're using couriers.
Oh,
That's what I was told at Monday night. CPAWS had an election forum, and that was explained that they're using couriers. Somewhere it was explained. Maybe it was the Yukon News. Anyway, they got it figured out.
And just think of the additional cost and who's going to benefit from that. It's just another aspect of how and why we need a postal service.
Yeah.
Underscore service.
That's for sure. Um,
How was the election for Mary?
Oh, there must have been several hundred people.
Oh, wow.
Well, I should say several, 2.5, like 250 or so. And the Yukon party showed up. It was on environment was the theme of the forum. Extremely well organized. For questions, they had 1 minute. And if they went overtime, they had to listen to a duck squawking.
is the Yukon party
Conservative.
conservative?
Yeah.
What other parties do you have in the Yukon?
Well, the Liberal Party has just been in power and made some pretty major mistakes. And none of the whole cabinet, like we only have 19 or 21 people in the whole Yukon for our territorial assembly. And so half of the Yukon Liberal Party was, or more than half, were cabinet ministers. Not one is running again. It's just not a good scene for the Liberals. So it's between the NDP and the Conservatives, which the Yukon Party is. Like they'll be more pro-mining, like the guy, Curry Dixon, who's probably going to be our premier, came to that forum, which I thanked him for coming. And he said, when he was asked about fracking, because we're sitting on shale gas, which is accessible by fracking, he said if a First Nation wanted it, they would do it. And you just know the pressure that those First Nations are under because of the poverty of their citizens. But anyway, that's the kind of situation. The problem with the NDP, to me, we had a really good environment person who spoke. But basically all their publicity is on the health system. They don't know anything about mining and running the government and budgets and even social services, education. There's nothing. It's so one-sided and narrow, nothing about climate. It's all getting more, we'll get more health workers. So I think our best hope is that we have had 3 Yukon members. If we had enough that we could have a minority government, but even that's pretty doubtful at this point. However, I'm working for three candidates a bit.
So, so far we haven't heard anything from Campbell River, I think. Amanda, do you want to speak a little bit before we go? I think I need to make a bit of a board report before we sign off.
Okay, so just to give a quick little report on our Draw the Line rally.
Yeah.
There were some people. I tried to contact Sierra Club Quadra, but they seem to have. They're keeping a low profile right now. That whether they've disbanded, I'm not sure. But anyway, some people who had been members of that group were able to join a couple of us from Council of Canadians, and so together we put on a show. We got some nice banners, we had some music, but and we had 3 speakers, including our previous NDP MP. Our present MP is extremely right-wing, Aaron Gunn. But anyway, we used to have Rachel Blaney, and she was our keynote speaker, and she spoke on Gaza and Indigenous rights or Indigenous, situation. And her husband is First Nations, and he was there, and also her son. We got started, but it rained and it blew, and we had, I think, a maximum. I think we had like about 65 people, so that was pretty good. But they were all sitting sort of back. That we were our platform was at the front of a square, and then there's a semicircle of seating, behind the square, as it were. And so everybody was sitting back there. And I regret that we didn't take some of our kind of literature, as it were. We had postcards, these kind of, whether you had those kind of postcards that you could mail in to the government, see bounced before the wildfires. we should have taken those around and handed them out. I regret that. And I had some little things made up. This is it's called Climate Stripes, and it's on the internet, and it's University of Reading, and this goes from I think 1860 to 2024, and it's updated every year, and it's available. And I think people have knitted scarves out of that pattern. They've beamed that pattern onto the various famous the climate stripes onto various famous buildings. It's all over the place really, but we had some of these made up and to hand out, but we just didn't get around to doing that. We had our Council of Canadians banner up, and we got into we had a little piece in the paper beforehand and afterwards, which was all good. But again, I think we just had two young people, one of whom was Rachel Blaney's son, and then another lady brought along her young daughter. So our paper was all blowing around, and we had our Council of Canadians stand was at the front of this square alongside our stage, and as I say, everybody else kind of sat towards the back, and the weather wasn't good, and so we really didn't get any sign-ups, although we had we had sheets of paper out there for people to write down comments on, etc. So we had I thought our speakers went well, but something to think about, and really how to interact with young people. I was just so happy at the very end where this young Rachel Blaney's son, Kai, stayed behind and helped us put away all our stands, our tents and whatnot, and he was very open and talking with us, and he's Heiltsuk, and I thought, oh wow, here's a very open young man, Indigenous, maybe he's a way that we can at least find out how to get our message, into different Indigenous avenues of contact, kind of thing. Anyway, that was something positive to come out of it.
Yeah, I miss Rachel. I'm so sorry that she had to make the choice not to run again, because I'm not looking forward to the next 4 years with Aaron Gunn, that's for sure.
Right. And we had a local minister visited Aaron Gunn in his office to talk about Gaza, and Aaron Gunn said he saw no problem with what Israel was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So now the minister, it might be Keith Simmons. Anyway, I think he's going to be holding a weekly vigil outside Aaron Gunn's office.
Good for him. Mary's got her hand up.
Just briefly, we were 4 groups that put on the event that Susan is talking about. We were For Their Future Yukon, which is part of a national organization, and Seniors for Climate, local, and the United Church Social Justice Committee, along with Council of Canadians. And we did it together. And we had tried to have another event, election-oriented, nonpartisan event, and that one fell through. So Susan did extraordinary work to pull together the teach-in that we had that had only 2 weeks to prepare it.
That's because I've been ranting about how awful the, billionaires versus everybody else issue is for so long. And when I read the materials, I was like, this is what I've been talking about for so long. So it I didn't even have to really learn anything. I just kind of said I already had thought through all that infuriating stuff, right? So, and the other thing that we had was a lovely lady who'd come from, I don't know where she was from, Southeast Asia anyway. And she is very, she speaks incredibly eloquently. And so she talked about, she's been in Canada. She started out in Toronto and then eventually has come to the Yukon. And she was so positive and so amazing to listen to. And just hearing her story about how people can be abused and how, I doubt it happened to her because she seemed like a very forthright person, but she knew a whole lot of people who'd had really tough, nasty situations that she'd helped out. And just what the Canadian economy does, when people are relying on this really low paid labor and it's not fair. And people don't feel like they have a voice and stuff like that. Anyway, it was really great to hear her talk. And then we had a few people also talk about more specifically from the climate point of view. So yeah, it was a really nice, positive experience. It was great.
Okay, so we've been over an hour now, so I guess I better give a bit of board report. Normally, our board chair, John Cartwright, sends a board report out shortly after our board meetings because the official minutes are never available until they've been approved at the next meeting. But he hasn't sent it. I actually was talking to him today, and he hasn't sent it out yet because he was out of town. His mother just died recently. So I'll try and remember the meeting as best I can. Some highlights of what's going on these days. And Avril had asked me to review the staffing. And I think that there's many people from our local chapters who may not really know what kind of staff we have. Those of you who have been members for a long time know that we downsized quite a lot last year for financial reasons. What people are most aware of is that we lost our regional organizer, David, who we relied on a lot. So that's how it affected us way out here on the left coast. But we have a I've gotten to know quite a few of the staff people since I've been on the board, and I think they do a remarkable job considering the size of the staff and the size of the national organization and the reputation that we have, and the pulls on us from lots of different directions. We have a new executive director, Drew, who some of you may know because he used to be with The Breach, if you ever read The Breach. And he's came on over the summer, and he's a pretty quick study. He's gotten caught up on where we're at in terms of the precarious financial situation we found ourselves in last year and the reduced staff that he has to work with. We have Nicholas, who is our campaigner, and he works particularly, should be working on water in the next period of time, and was a lot of the main energy behind the Draw the Line stuff. He sat on a national coordinating committee for Draw the Line representing us. Eagle Claw is our, I think the word we would use is, he does like our social media stuff. The Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, apparently. I've never been on TikTok in my life. And all of that kind of stuff. He designs all of our swag. How many of you got that t-shirt for the Draw the Line t-shirt that said billionaires versus the rest of us? He designed that. And I have suggested that they should make more of those and make them available for people to purchase, because I think people would pay 15 or 20 bucks for one of those t-shirts for sure. Then there's our development team. which is Helene and Karen and Wayne, and they take care of our money, our donors, our membership records. So Avril, you were wondering about how to find out whether the people on your email list are actual members who have donated money to us, or if they're just email contacts that you have collected through your organizing. I think the person to talk to about that would be either Helene or Karen would be my guess. But there's an email which the staff have asked us when we have requests as chapters for information or for some requests that we have, we're supposed to go to the chapter contact email, which is on the website, because they don't want every individual staff member getting loads of emails from people. It's overwhelming for them. But I think that's who would respond to you on that matter of what to do about the email list. And this has been going on for years. It's got nothing to do with our reduced staffing, because we've been asking for this for 5 years, some kind of coordination between, like, some kind of access that chapter activists can have to the paid up membership list in our regions. Lori, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, because there are so many different email, Seniors for Climate is the same way. I just have to send it to 5 people because I can't remember. I'm a senior. I can't remember which one I'm supposed to send for which thing. So maybe you could create some sort of a form that has email address, what is the purpose, and who is that person. And
Well, that's what they've done with saying everything from chapter should go to one email. Everything. It doesn't matter what your request is or what your question is. It should all go to the same email address.
sorry, what was that again?
That's what I've been told. It's on the website.
Oh,
Yeah. You're muted, Lori. Okay.
Just a quick comment,
Yeah.
Dana. I think the national list is confidential. They won't give us those names.
No, they won't give it out, but they can send, if there are people in our, like when they did the e-blast, for example, they sent it out to everybody that they have on their lists. And I might not know who those people are in my region. The people that I send my stuff out are people who come to meetings or who have signed on to something at some event we went to. And those two lists are quite different from each other, I'm sure. But they can send an email out to people and say, if you'd like to be contacted by the local chapter, please let us know. And then they can let us know those names, right? And I
think the
and we've
person
been
has to
asking
let
for
us
that
know
for
that.
5 years, and for some reason it's not the reduced staffing. There's something about this request that just doesn't seem to compute.
They can't give us names. The names have to contact us themselves.
Yes, I understand that, but they can send out that kind of notice. Yeah.
An e-blast.
Yeah. Avril.
Thanks, Trina. I know it's a quagmire, and it has been a quagmire for a long time. And but first question, you mentioned a single email for chapters. On the website, there still exists the BC/Yukon at Canadians or whatever. That's not the one you mean. You mean the email that is inquiries@canadians.org.
Yes, inquiries@canadians.org.
Okay, but so I think that's one thing, how, if you know the powers that be, tell them to take that stuff down. It's just confusing. It still has all of those other regional ones on the website. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then sort of connected to this though is the new person you are starting to, maybe just didn't get around to him in terms of staffing, is Mohammed.
Yeah, I haven't got to him
You
yet.
just haven't gotten him yet.
Yeah.
But he seems to be the fellow that is in charge of potential e-blasts. And
Yeah.
there's been some confusion. We're going to try and sort that with him ourselves in our region. The numbers just don't add up.
Yeah.
And then later, if you haven't yet got to it, I would like to also, well, two things. You're now using a different email address here.
Yeah.
And yet I just want to know whether that gaggle email.
Forget the gaggle thing. It has something to do with David. It was his own server or
And
something.
so it's gone.
Yeah,
So
I
so
don't want to use gaggle because it's not connected. The the one I'm using is connected to headquarters, and it's our Pacific chapters. All of our chapters are on that list. So if they send out something to all Pacific chapters, it goes to that. If I send out something to all, or you do, it goes to that. The gaggle thing was David's, I guess. I don't know what gaggle is.
Okay, well, we'll just forget that.
Just forget it.
Yeah, just forget it. But then suppose I want to send something to alert everyone in our group in the Pacific region. I can use the new one that you've
Yes.
created, right?
Yes.
So it's like that's the distribution list for
It's a
us.
distribution list
Okay.
of just chapters. Yeah.
Yeah,
in
and
the
then
Pacific
and
region.
then just a final question that maybe you'll get around to it. I don't know, Drina, in your board report, and that is about how the board has allocated person resources to its committees.
That is something that's in progress. People have been asked to, committees have been asked to get, I know the finance committee has gotten active again and has some new members. There's some of the new board members have joined committees. So you haven't heard anything from, who's the chair of the committee you were on? Who's
Well,
supposed to be
the
chair?
governance committee had been chaired by oh gosh, all my names have flown out of my head, but it hasn't been meeting or has met. And
Well, at our last executive meeting, we basically tried to make sure that all the committees were set up and they should be there should be a new chair for it.
right.
Should be going, but I don't know because I'm not on any of them. But we did talk about that, how your committee had been dormant.
Yep.
And we have new people who, some of our new board members have indicated which committees they want to go on and stuff. So I think that all should be activating now. Over the summer, it didn't really happen.
Yeah, I can probably find out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, and then you were going to mention about Mohammed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
jumped the gun on you. Sorry, Drina.
okay. So his official, um, he replaces Pam. If any of you have ever worked with Pam, she's quite lovely, and she really helped me um, to get me on board with the to get to go into the board sites and to be able to host Zooms and all of that stuff, which is very simple, but I was completely intimidated by it, I thought. And she set me up really well before she left, and Mohammed replaces her. And I know from the other staff and the other members of the executive that people are really, really enthusiastic about him because he's been on board for about 15 minutes and he's been really helpful to lots of people. So hopefully there's just seems to be a lot of energy coming out. One of the reasons that one of the things that I think is really helpful is that the interim ED that we had for, since January, filling in until we hired Drew, she basically reorganized our staff. We were left with this reduced staff, and before they'd all been in silos. There were campaigners here and regional organizers here and development here, and she, once they were reduced to 7 people, she just said, that's silly. We're going to meet as a staff team every week, and we're going to, the left hand is going to know what the right hand is doing, and they help each other. So if one of if the campaigners are having a problem with something that involves technology, or they want to get the word out, then Eagle or Mohammed will do things to help that happen, or if people need new materials created and so on. So everybody seems to be happier with that, and it seems to be going well. And I have to say that board members and the executive are also find people are a lot more responsive and so on. In addition to our regular staff, we have a short-term contract. Courtney, some of you would have met her during the on the line planning meetings and everything. She was hired on a grant. Doesn't come out of our budget. We got a grant for this to be a climate organizer in the Maritimes. And we're hoping to be able to renew that grant for another 6 months. And one of the ideas that Drew has a lot of ideas about things that we could be doing in the next period of time. And one of them is to have a anti-austerity campaign specifically to Ottawa because of the huge cutbacks that are going to be coming down the pipe with the federal government. People are expecting a lot of layoffs, a lot of service cuts, and so on. And so we want to push back against that. And we're talking about having a podcast before the budget comes down, or an online forum. I don't know if it's a podcast, but an online forum with a panel of people and so on before the budget comes down. And then after the budget comes down, in the hopes of having an in-person gathering of some kind in Ottawa to oppose what we're expecting is going to be happening. And again, this we've hired a woman to run this austerity campaign. And again, it's on a grant. It's not coming out of our regular budget. So he's very good at finding money for the things we want to do, despite the financial constraints we've had. And finally, in relation to those financial, we're quite on track on our budget for a couple of reasons. One is that our income is higher than we projected. We made very conservative projections for the income, and it turns out that it is higher than we expected. And our expenses have been kept quite intact. So we're in pretty good shape compared to what we were last November when we were actually considering folding the organization. We can kind of take a deep breath. And we made one of the decisions we made at that time was to put all bequests into our contingency fund, that we wanted to build up the contingency fund so that we would have enough money if we had to fold to pay out staff, to pay all our expenses and things that we expected. And we weren't going to put any bequests into our general budget to spend the way we wanted to. And that's worked very well. And in particular, because we've gotten, by the end of the year, we will have gotten quite a few fairly major bequests, some of which we weren't expecting. So overall, we're in a better financial position than we were. And I think that if we're planning for next year's budget, we won't be in the same position to be as tight as we've been since last November all around. So I think that's about all for the board. Avril.
Thank you. Love to hear that budget news. That's great. Would love maybe if the council ever wants to actually share some numbers, I'd love that even more. But you know me, always a stickler for stuff. So that's wonderful. I just want to show off my water bottle here only because it's something that I obtained years ago as part of our package for Blue Communities, our Blue Communities package. And so the question, so I'm encouraging, I'm going to talk to the council, try and find out where this actual template resides with them. I'll work on it, but it's really helpful because often you just get donated water bottles from all over the place and and they've got all these logos. Well, we just slap our Council of Canadians type of stickers right over top of it. And then we just use them in that way.
Yeah.
And this one doesn't exist any longer. I've been searching everywhere in part because Council of Canadians has shifted to Blue Community Schools and their toolkit is all about schools and such, and it's totally different. But I'm sure they've got this somewhere, and I'll see if I can get the template, and we'll print off more for our region. And so, yeah, it's a really good way to just, hey, look at, I love your water bottle. Where'd you get that from? And you have it with you, and then people just talk to you about stuff.
I also have buttons that say that slogan.
Mhm.
I wonder if we could get more of those buttons that say keep water public or
Yeah, or the other one said, I drink tap water. Yeah, we had a lot of
yes.
those too. But buttons, increasingly people are saying, they're not exactly all that climate friendly, those buttons. And this is actual paper that's on
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And eventually it washes off and, that's at least something a bit better. And
But they can be stuck on a lot of different things.
yeah, and well, and obviously it's about water, so it's on my water bottle. And so, yeah, it works really well as an opener to chat with people too. So that's something I should have brought up.
I noticed we've lost
Yeah.
half of our meeting, so it's probably time to say goodbye. The other thing I wanted to say, people seem to want to have monthly regional meetings. I was a bit resistant to that when it came up last time because I thought, I don't want to run a monthly meeting, blah, blah, blah. I'm not David. But when we have so much activity going on, it's probably a good idea that we have them maybe every 6 weeks. Compromise at every 6 weeks instead of I don't know, how do people feel? I know most people wanted the monthly last time we were talking.
I think the difficulty with every 6 weeks, I appreciate it. And I just want to say here and now how much I appreciate your efforts, Drina. You are a volunteer. Like you are not David, who was a paid staff person. And that's an important thing for absolutely everyone to recognize. And yeah, the expectations on you are a lot. And I think you're doing an amazing job. So I really do want to thank you. The other thing is that every 6 weeks is far more difficult for people to manage in their scheduling of their time
And
so on,
and remember that
and remembering and so on. And so I think maybe every month. And if you find that the number of people start to drop off or it's not really working very well, then you can change it. But I really appreciate having updates about the overall board, and they don't have to necessarily be meetings as long as this one, but we had a lot to talk about today too. And
Yeah.
Lori and I both come. I'll usually come with at least one other person because I can't remember all these things. And then it's like, oh yeah, and this. And the other person says, yeah, but we did this too. And so I'm happy to see more than one person from the chapters because I think that's really helpful. And everybody here is really generous. So I like being here. Thank you.
Okay. Mary.
Yes, not me. However, the group has a number of competent chairpersons that could be shared.
Yes. Yes, that's true. That's true. We all have to step up a bit more without our staff. Same things goes on with the executive. You know, we don't have the same staff. You can't just throw everything at the staff. So we're always talking about how we can all step up a little bit better. Okay. So Lori, I really appreciate your help with recording, and